get through thick and twisted underbrush. The greater kudu are the tallest of the forest antelope. They stand at around 55 inches. Back to the okapi on that right-hand side. Their hind legs may remind you of zebras, but their closest living relative is actually the giraffe. For many years, Westerners did not believe that they were real, but this was quickly disproven in the early 1900s. On the left-hand side in the clearing, we're going to be passing by some black rhino. The black rhino are the smaller of the rhino species here on the reserve. They have a small pointed mouth which they use to eat vegetation. Side in the clearing, we're about to pass some birds. These are saddle-billed stork. Saddle-billed stork get their name from the shape that's found on their beaks. They might look a little small from here inside the truck, but the saddle-billed stork are actually about 4 to 5 feet tall. Climbing over the hill to enter the Safi River. The Safi River is home to many of the animals that live in or around water. Typically around here you'd be able to see some hippos. They're a little difficult to see at times because they can hold their breath for up to 8 minutes at a time. If you see anything that looks like a big rock floating through water, it's probably a hippo. The reason why they spend so much time underwater is because they have super sensitive skin. So the water helps to keep their skin calm and cool. You can kind of get a better look here on that left-hand side for those folks. There's one moving over by the second island. But here on the first island, we're passing some pink-back pelicans. Pink-back pelicans get their name from the color that appears most often during mating season. They're known as colonial nesters, meaning they'll stay together in groups of 20 to 500 pairs. Now here in the water, you can see those hippos moving in the water.
Oh look, he said no. Look at this one, he said.
As we go around the curve, folks, I do want to remind everyone to please stay seated. We're about to cross over a bridge, and on the left-hand side of that bridge is the Nile crocodile. Largest in the crocodilian species. They're known to be some very large eaters because of this. That's to say they'll eat around 250 pounds in a single sitting. That's about half of their body weight that they'll eat all at once. On the other hand, Nile crocodiles do have another reputation. They're known for being quite kind to their young. They'll help their eggs hatch by very gently rolling them around in their mouths. Now here on the right-hand side, we're beginning to pass by a baobab tree. The baobab tree does have two main nicknames. It's the tree of life and the upside-down tree. It gets these nicknames as it has no leaves for 9 months of the year. This is done to help conserve water, which it holds tons of in its trunk. Many animals will actually use the baobab tree as a water source. We have now entered the savanna. The savanna is home to many of the animals most famous on the reserve. Though it seems like Many of them are a little bit further in. So as we get closer to them, we can talk more about them. On the left-hand side, inside of the den, are the African wild dogs. They're occasionally known as painted dogs due to their coat. The African wild dogs are actually some of the world's most successful land hunters.
They're laying in their thing.
They hunt by running together as a pack. On the left-hand side, a little further back, are those sables. Sables are actually the emblem of the Harambe Wildlife Reserve. They represent strength. They have horns that can get about 3 to 4 feet long. Those horns are used during dominance displays and to help ensure that other animals don't jump on them. Those sables are actually related to an animal we'll see in just a moment. Here on the left-hand side, we're about to go around some giraffe. These are known as Maasai giraffe in particular. They can get on average about 18 to 20.
By the trawl.
They have super flexible tongues, which they use to eat vegetation. On their heads, what look like horns are actually ossicones. They start off as cartilage, then stuff in your nose and your ears, and over time they harden into bone. Ossicones are actually how we know that the giraffes are related to the okapi from the forest. On the right-hand side, these are wildebeest. The wildebeest get their name from the Afrikaans words for wild and beast. The sables are actually related to these wildebeest. Occasionally, they'll be known as new, that's spelled GNU, as it's quite similar to the sound they make.
No.
On the right-hand side, in between all those trees, you can see some large reddish animals with horns. Those are Ankole cattle. Ankole cattle are one of 2 domesticated species here on the reserve. Their horns can get up to 6 feet wide. They use their horns to actually cool down as they'll circulate blood through them. Another look at those horns on the right-hand side from here.
Wow.
On the left-hand side against the wall are mandrills. They're a little difficult to see because they're kind of smallish. But mandrills are monkeys best known for blue and red markings on their face. Those markings can actually change. For example, when the mandrills get excited, those markings will brighten. Mandrills are monkeys and not apes, and you can tell by the fact that they have tails. Mandrill tails are quite small, but they're still there. archway walls. As you look around the walls, you might notice some markings from the African elephants. African elephants have been known to use this red clay to make a mud-like substance that they can spray on one another. It acts like sunscreen. Along with that, African elephants will eat the red clay as it's quite high in nutrients sometimes.
Elephants are way over there.
African elephants are some of the largest land animals in the world, so they actually can't survive just by eating red clay.
Oh, look.
On the left-hand side on the road is the Hartman Mountain Zebra. The Hartman Mountain Zebra do have specialized hooves that help them get around in rougher terrain. Every single zebra has their own unique striping pattern. And baby zebra will actually memorize the stripes of their mothers, so they know who to return home to. So as we start to approach this water, I have a favor to ask for you. After the flamingos, we're going to be entering another part of the savannah. There will be baby white rhinos. We have to be quiet around the babies. So after the flamingos, I need everyone to be as quiet as possible so we don't scare away the babies, okay? So now here, on the left-hand side, we are passing the greater flamingo. The greater flamingos are the largest in our flamingo family. They are known for being a paler pink than most other flamingos. They get this pink color from eating brine shrimp, which contains a protein known as beta-carotene. As baby flamingo are born gray. On the left-hand side are ostrich on the floor. The ostrich are large birds known for not flying, but instead running. They will run up to 40 miles an hour. These ostrich are female, and you can tell by the color of their feathers, which are more brown and gray rather than black and white. Now this orange area to the left is a mud pit, and many of the animals will use the mud as a way to cool down, though it doesn't seem like many of the animals think they need it right about now. As we make this turn, we're entering big cat territory. On the left-hand side, if you're able to see some movement, it could be a cheetah. The cheetahs are big cats that are active during the day. They have dark marks running from their eyes down to the sides of their nose, which helps to keep the sun out of their eyes. They do have top speeds of about 60 miles an hour, but they can't maintain the speed for very long, so they have to be rather choosy about when they'll run. Now here in front of us, the animal is a bontebok. The bontebok is known for its purplish coat. Now behind the bontebok, these rocks are known as kopie. They're used by lions as resting points and vantage points. Lions are big cats that are most active during the night, so we might be able to see them resting as we go around. On that right-hand side is the white rhino. The white rhino does not get its name from its color, but rather its wide mouth. We're gonna see more like the ones in the clearing in just a moment. But we'll see this clearing again, so we can talk about them a little later. On that left-hand side is the lion on the Kofi. At night when it's time for the lions to hunt, typically the female lions will head out, whereas the male lions will stay home and protect the area.
Go get them groceries.
On the left-hand side, we're passing by the burrows of warthogs. Most of the warthogs are a little hidden behind the tree trunk right now, but they're the largest of the burrowing animals. They'll use their tusks to make them. Now we're back to these white rhinos again, so please remember to stay a little quiet.
They're how big I think it is.
They're the largest in that rhino family.
Oh wow.
If you were able to see the ostrich eggs on the floor, you may remember that I mentioned that the ostrich on the reserve are all female. Those are their eggs. Ostrich eggs can actually be the largest and strongest of the bird eggs. They weigh about 3 pounds each, which is equivalent to 2 dozen chicken eggs.
They don't taste like eggs.
We're now in Magadi Glen. Magadi Glen is the newest addition to the Harambe Wildlife Reserve. Here you can see the warden's post as well as the Nigerian dwarf goat. The Nigerian dwarf goat are the second of the domesticated species here on the reserve.
There's my family.
They produce a milk that's high in nutrition and high in value.
Can you take him with you? Take him with you. Go back to your family.
He won't let me get a pet goat.
Go back to your family. Jump out.
If you're a bit like me and you want to see more of those Nigerian dwarf goats, consider checking out Rafiki's Planet Watch. A short train ride away will get you over to an inspection section where if those goats are feeling up for it, you can pet them. Just be warned that Rafiki's doesn't have any baby goats, and they do close a little earlier than the rest of the parks. The last train leaves at around 4:30. Unfortunately, this water does signal the near end of our safari. For any wilderness explorers on board, you've been riding in the Simba 1. A symbol like lion and 1 like the number